Speaking of Arizona, let's talk about who Arizona replaced Jedd Fisch with. His name would be Brent Brennan. Sorry. He was San Jose State's coach, right? I tend to like this hire. And what's interesting is that with the financial crisis of this program and what it's in, firing the AD, even though the president probably should have been fired, you're he's still getting a higher salary pool for his assistants than Jedd Fisch did amidst the
And
financial crisis. So that is a program that is willing to invest in its football program because, like, look at some of these other programs. Like, it pays dividends. It pays for things. It pays for schools. It pays for textbooks. It pays for laboratories. It pays for libraries. It pays for other things. It pays for dorms. Like, that's what football can do. That's the power of that to any any Division One program.
well, yeah, and this what a nice little parting gift from Dave Hickey, right? I believe that's how you say his last name, Dave Hickey, the athletic director from Arizona, right? Hired him what 7 days ago, and now he got a canned, I guess last night from when you guys were watching this video. But Brent Brennan, yeah, and what's nice about that is yes, you mentioned that language he put in to get that high assistant salary coaching pool, which is massive for a program like Arizona, who's gonna realistically is gonna get poached really good talent away from him, and he can bring in a guy like Dwayne Aquina, which I know Arizona fans are super familiar with. He was the reason for the defensive turnaround this year. He's been at Arizona a ton, an elite staff member, good recruiter, relationship guys, all that good stuff. But also Brent Brennan, he's coming from San Jose State where he was not making a ton of money. So you didn't have to give him this massive, five, six, $7 million contract, right? That you can't really afford. But now you can save money on the hire while making a really good hire, who I thought was the number one choice. It made sense all along. I'm glad they went with it. And then also fill out other places in your program to let Brent Brennan succeed, and not set him up for failure. Take the checks, take the losses kind of guy. No, Brent Brennan wants to win. So he's coming there on a little paycheck discount, but also writing in language for himself to be able to succeed and set up a program around him that lets him thrive in the new Big 12.
Yeah. So who is Brent Brennan? Let's just say he has coached everyone on the West Coast. San Jose State, notably, he was there more than one time, but most recently as a head coach. He was at Oregon State. He was at Cal Poly. He was at Arizona a while back. He was at Washington, Hawaii. Also, his wife is an Arizona graduate, and she was very, very ecstatic when Brent Brennan took the job. So he's a UCLA grad, right? And you're thinking like, oh, is this just like a stepping stone, like to get the UCLA job once Chip Kelly gets fired next year? Or if I mean, I know there's talks that Chip Kelly might take an OC job in the NFL, but this year, but like I think Brent Brennan wants to stay here, which
Well,
is good
more
for
importantly, his
Arizona.
wife does. His wife, we all know happy wife,
Yes,
happy life. Like Miss Terry was happy at Alabama. And so when Texas came knocking on Saban's door, back in the early 2010s, like Miss Terry was enjoying it at Tuscaloosa. And that was a massive reason why he stayed there. That's really awesome for Arizona.
yeah. So in his time at San Jose State is not historically a great program. Like it is not an elite contender in the Mountain West. In fact, it has one conference championship in its history, and it was under Brent Brennan. Was it in the COVID year? Yes. But did you also have Nick Starkel at quarterback? Yes. So he won Mountain West Conference Championship. Starkel as quarterback.
By the way,
It's not
can I
a
say something about that? That was in California, where the rules of COVID were so hard to deal with, more than other places in the Mountain West, like Boise State, like Wyoming, UNLV, programs like that. Like that was a such a tough job. I get it. Some people don't count the COVID year, right? But you have to give him credit for what he did that year. That was super impressive, given the scenario, what happened, given the lack of resources, and given like it was so hard to win in the state of California there, and he did it very well.
Yeah, and everyone can do a quick Wikipedia search and be like, Brent Brennan, what, this guy's 34 and 48 as a head coach. What is he doing? Coaching a Power Five football team. Yeah, so he went 3 and 22 in his first year, 2 years at San Jose State. Did Jedd Fisch not go 1 and 11? And then, like, did he go 5 and 7? 1 and 11 his first year at Arizona? Like, come on. Like, the dude was building a program. And then he came back 5 and 7 year, and then the 7 and 1 Mountain West Conference Championship win. And then he's consistently been around 5 to 7 wins every single season with San Jose State, including getting low-key robbed out of a chance to compete for the Mountain West Conference Championship this year because of the weird tiebreaker that comes down to the computer rankings from multiple websites, which is unbelievable. I thought he did a
Wild.
fantastic job coaching this year. I mean, fantastic job coaching San Jose State. So I really like this. So when we talk about grades, giving the grades to each hire, okay, gotta talk about expectations. We always do. We mention it every time. So, CD, what are the expectations for a program like Arizona? And I know it's different because they're headed to the Big 12. So, what are the expectations?
Well, so let's be honest here. First of all, it is a very tough job to win at because of everything happening right now and going on with the Board of Regents, with the athletic director, with the president's financial situation in Arizona, which Matthew did a really good job outlining in a video and a short. Go check that out. Very cool, fascinating stuff there. And Jedd Fisch, what he did this year was an anomaly, right? Rich Rodriguez, his best year there was 10-4, right? That was all the way back in 2014. They've had 10 wins, what, once, twice in this millennium, right? The last time they were above 12 wins or above 10 wins was back with Dick Tomey in the 1990s, right? Mike Stoops was there, Rich Rod, Kevin Sullivan, guys that are pretty high profile names and not a lot of winning there, right? Let's be honest here. What Jedd Fisch did this year and gearing up for a year was pretty impressive. What they did there, that fast a turnaround in a very competitive Pac-12. Now they're moving to the Big 12, right? Where you have a ton of teams, right? All in what seems to be like that middle tier of just everybody kind of just smashed together, and it's kind of just a random number generator, which I believe the Cover Three podcast loves to talk about. We're just like, who knows what's actually going to happen here, game to game, because the talent level is so evenly matched week to week with everybody in the Big 12. Brent Brennan takes over an Arizona team that's pretty darn talented, and it sounds like a lot of those guys are staying. Right? You mentioned Jedd Fisch leaves, and it's devastation for Arizona. Amidst the financial crisis, everything going on with the program in the state, and now Jedd Fisch leaves, and now you're like, oh, we saw what happened to Bama and all those guys leaving, Washington, all those guys leaving, and then Jedd Fisch leaves, and now Brent Brennan comes in, and a lot of those players stayed. Fafita and McMillan, a lot of those guys want to win and gearing up for this year because they know how special it is. Right? Brent Brennan, I believe, is the right guy to do it for them. Expectations for this year a little bit different than they are, I think, in years beyond because of the talent level that's on this roster right now. Let's say hopefully nothing else changes. We'll see what happens. They are losing a couple guys to the portal, but in my opinion, like Jonah Coleman, really good player. Price Sock, a very good corner. Raymond Polito, very good offensive lineman. But other than that, it's pretty good damage control from Brent Brennan's staff, which he made a point to keep everyone on that roster there. I don't know, man. I think 7 to 8 wins you have to be really happy with a couple years popping in between and having a chance. Right, the Big 12 championship, right? They're an auto bid as of right now to the college football playoffs. So like the door is wide open for you to make the playoffs every couple of years if you do it right, if you build up to it, if you get the quarterbacks right, coordinators, you keep teams together. Your developmental program at Arizona, you got to recruit the high school ranks pretty well. Yeah, I'm gonna go 7, 8 wins here. That seems pretty reasonable. It's actually a little on the high end compared to what you've been in the Pac-12, but I think with Brent Brennan coming in, moving to the Big 12, you have chances to win. And with the language and the commitment to the football program amidst all the financial crisis going on, I believe 7, 8 wins is a pretty reasonable expectation, in my opinion, for Arizona.
Yeah, I would say like my expectations probably more 6 or 7 wins because of the state of the program and also like historically, right? Like that's like it was make a bowl game, we're happy, you know? But I mean, I'm looking at the schedule and I'm like imagining more schedules like this in the future. Again, I'll still stand by. I believe the expectation is 6, 7 wins. Probably 7 wins is better. But you got your toughest games in next year's schedules at Kansas State, at Utah. Every other game is either a reasonable, manageable game or it's at home, right? Arizona State at home, Colorado at home, Texas Tech at home, Houston at home, West Virginia at home. And then your road games, other than Utah and Kansas State, are BYU, which is tough playing Pro Bowl. Okay, but that's a program that you can beat. TCU and UCF, all programs that you can beat. It just like if I'm replaying this over and over again, and what I believe Brent Brennan is and what I think he can build this team to be in this program. I mean, it's a great geography. He's a great coach. There's a lot of things that are working for them aside from the financial crisis, but they're investing in Brent Brennan still amidst the crisis. So I'm gonna give this grade an A because I think he soars expectations. I think that Arizona's becoming gonna become a perennial player in the Big 12 a few years from now. I know that they have that giant financial crisis, but they're still investing in Brent Brennan. They gave him a big assistant pool to work with. We'll see how the NIL works. If the NIL's the boosters are going to start cutting checks for players, or if they're going to have to cut the checks to save the athletic department, or are they just going to cut other sports? Like, are they going to cut some of the Olympic sports in order to save some money and use football as like kind of a vaulting platform to kind of revive this athletics program? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. All I know is Brent Brennan's a good coach. I think he fits at Arizona. And I think Arizona's got a manageable schedule the next couple of years and good geography. Boom. That's it.
Yeah, that's got me sold enough to give this higher an A as well. I mean, this is about as good as you could have done. Late in the cycle, you don't find hires like this. To be honest, like the whole transition from, Washington, DeBoer to Bama, Fish to Washington, Brent Brennan to Arizona, like those three programs, with everything that happened, right? You have to be pretty darn happy with how your athletic department handled it and being able to find out a very, very good candidate. Now, obviously, it's early. We have no idea to see how they play next year and years beyond that. But to be honest, like on paper, these hires look really, really awesome for all these programs. It's not often you see win-win-wins like this happening. And yeah, like Arizona, and like you said, Arizona did a really good job. Brent Brennan, I do believe all the tools are there to succeed in the Big 12 with his geography, with him being on the West Coast his whole career and being able to succeed there. And let's be honest, like his record too at San Jose State doesn't look as great because of the tough out of conference schedule they played and the fact that they didn't have the resources that a lot of other schools in the Mountain West had. Now you're Arizona, and yes, your athletic department and your school is not doing great funding wise, but your football program still has a good amount of money, right? And it still has all the resources to compete in the Big 12 in the new era Big 12. So I fully believe in Brent Brennan and the future of this program of Arizona. I know we've got a lot of Arizona fans listening and subscribers, and obviously I'm sure this is a time of anxiousness and unease for you guys. But I will say here, I think Matthew and I, have this here. I think this is a pretty good sign of things to come. Like I do think things will get worse before they get better this offseason, but I do think this is the future's up for at least the football program there at Arizona.